rappers and music producers? It's Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com, and today I'm here to deliver you a tutorial on how to design your own album cover in the style of Cardi B's new album, Invasion of Privacy, on Photoshop CC. Let's talk about it. Rappers and music producers, you know I'm doing this ongoing series where I'm showing you how to design your own album covers and your own single arts. The first one was a pretty good success. You guys appreciated it. I'm glad that you subscribed. Speaking of which, please subscribe to the channel now. We would love for you to be part of the notification gang. Today, what we're gonna first of all break down different aspects of this cover, because although we look at an album cover from time to time and we're like, what's so special about that? It's not a whole lot going on. There's a lot of aspects to it that make it pop the way that it pops. Now, when we look at this album cover, there's a few things initially that I see that makes this thing pop. First of which being the dominant color of yellow. Now, the actual yellows that you see are pretty obvious. Obviously, you see it within her actual hair. You see it on the couch that she's sitting on, the chair she's sitting on. You see it here in the text. And to zoom in, you just push Control+. But you see the yellow here, and then you also see the yellow in the Cardi B name. Something else that pops out is the fact that she is centered within this, which makes her the center of attention of this album cover, which obviously is her album cover, and she should be. Also, too, you see this interesting addition of the record logo, which I'm going to show you how to add that to yours. But the purpose is not for me to show you how to make an album cover so it looks just like this. I want to show you exactly what it requires to make an album cover like this. Oh yeah, one more thing I want you to pay attention to. There's these streaks, these lines that are going through this that almost make it seem like it's being shot on a home video. Now, we're not gonna do the same exact effect, but I'm gonna show you something even cooler using a free download from a website that I use all the time called Mextures.com. First and foremost, we gotta start up a new file. We go to File, New, and just like I told you in the last example, you wanna ideally get this to be 3000 by 3000, but for the sake of this example, we're gonna do 1000 by 1000. You want the resolution to at least be 200, okay? Then you push create. So now we have a perfectly squared canvas to go ahead and start our album cover on. Now, the first thing I need to do is pick a photo where I can center it, and then I can put the text on the left and the right-hand side, just like this Cardi B album cover. So what I did was pull out an old photo that I have. And since this photo is a lot wider than it is taller, I want to at least match the shorter measurement so that it matches with the squareness of the canvas, the blank canvas that we're using. And basically all I have to do is go to image, and you'll see this image is super huge. All right, so what you want to do is make the smaller measurement match the average measurement of your actual canvas that you're making it on. It'll make sense when I start dragging it off. So the way that I drag this is basically I click here on this directional logo, this moving tool. I drag this out so I'm able to see my other canvas. Click over, boom, there I am. So now I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna drag it here. Now, what you wanna pay attention to, and you can minimize this, what you wanna pay attention to is making sure you see that centered line. See how that line is going straight through my face right there? I want to try to get it as centered as possible. Now you can see the reason why I use the height to readjust it is because I don't worry about missing out on that extra room on the side. What's most important to me is that this is centered and that I have some space up there to work with in the background. So that's for starters. Let's go back to the Cardi B example. So we're actually going to pull this out so we can have it referenced on the side. So the next thing we want to pay attention to, and I mean, you could do this in any particular order, but I want to go ahead and put that parental advisory sticker at the bottom. So if we go over here, this one is super huge, but I'm going to assume that we're going to resize this to probably about, let's say 500, which I know is going to be still too big. Adjust it to 500, go to the move tool, drag this out, and then basically just drag this layer over the top of this one. Obviously that's too big. We can minimize that. To adjust this particular layer, you got to make sure that you're on it. Push Control-T to transform this particular layer, and we're going to try to match this to the best of our ability. So first, let's match the actual size of it. I'll say that's pretty accurate. Double click it, and then drag it down here to the corner. And already we're starting to look official. Isn't it crazy how parental advisory stickers make things look just so official when you haven't done anything yet? So that's that. The next thing we want to do is pay attention to that logo in the right-hand corner. Now, I tried to do a Google search for one that had white writing, couldn't find it, but it's good because I get to show you something else that I do when I have to go ahead and customize it. So this red dot is cool. This writing right here needs to be white. So in order to do that, the way that I change that is go to the rectangular marquee tool. I highlight over just the black part, and then I right click it, and then I layer via cut. Basically, this is going to establish a whole nother layer with just that writing, okay? With just the record writing. The next step, I double click on that particular layer. I go to color overlay, blend mode normal, and then I go to white. Boom. Now all of a sudden we have that. Now something that I want to double check before I actually transfer these over, I got to make sure if I need to add a shadow underneath the record. So what we're going to do is zoom in into the far left corner, and we're going to see right here. As you can see, this version I got is a bit pixelated, but you can tell that there's some kind of border around it. I want to say it's like a black border or even like a green border. It looks like a green border. But for the sake of this example, we're going to use probably a black border because I think it'll pop even more. If not, we can go to their example as well. But we're going to go here. Once again, double click on that particular layer and then find drop shadow. Now you see how that shadow pops right there? Now we can increase that by taking the opacity up and then even taking the size up and the distance. I think I want to take the distance back a little bit. Cool. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and press OK. Drag this out. And then you want to make sure before you drag these layers over there that they're both connected. So you click on this particular picture, click on this layer and this layer together. First thing I would do is push link layers so that they all follow each other. And then once they're following each other, you can just go ahead and drag that over here, minimize this. And as you can see, oh, my bad. As you can see, we can edit this text. Push Control T, we can edit this text now. Now, of course, we want to match it up to this one. So let's pop this back out again. And the text is not really that huge. The record text is not that huge. So we're going to have to make that super, super small. Probably mess around it for a little bit with it. Let's see. There you go. That's decent. And once again, you want to use the guides on this. You want to drag those over. Okay, so we got those two aspects of it. Now let's get to the name. Now, obviously, my name is not Cardi B, so I'm not going to put Cardi B on my particular picture. However, we will put Curtis King. And I have a font that's very similar to this Cardi B one. I think it's called like Alien League or something like that, but we'll try to figure it out. So first things first, let's match the color. And the way we do that, first we need to zoom in here as much as we can. And we need to sample this color as we put this text over here, okay? So if we go ahead and put the text tool back up here and click here and sample this color, we'll keep going around this sampler until we have a very accurate depiction of that color. And I think that's pretty accurate right there. We can even go brighter if you want to. Push OK. Now as we type, we should have the same color as that particular album cover. So let me go over to this font that I found. Been using this font for years, actually. Where is it at? Alien League. So let's put Curtis King. And we're going to make this smaller. Drag it down. And I think I want to make this bold. And the way that you do that, first you push the text tool, double click it, right click, and go to bold. So now it pops just a little bit more. Okay, so if we zoom in, we're gonna see about the positioning of this particular name. So it's probably closer, let's go ahead and click back on there. It's probably closer to like midway down the head. Also, we need to pay attention to what they use as the background in terms of their shadowing, because they use two different colors. It's hard to see from a distance, but they use two different colors. If you zoom in super close, you can see there's like a bright green that's like an inner shadow, and then there's an outer layer that is a darker green. So we're gonna do the same thing here for our font. So the Curtis King, we double click that, and we're gonna zoom in on our picture too. And we're basically going to duplicate what we see for this Cardi B one. So the first thing, like I said, you're probably gonna have to add an inner glow or inner shadow. I'm gonna see inner glow first. Okay, and the inner glow color is sort of this brighter green. Push OK. And then the outer is this stroke. And that one is a darker green. So let's get that sample of the darker green. Now you can see it dominated our color because what happened was it's not supposed to be on the inside positioning, it's supposed to be the outside position. So click here on the outside. Now, obviously that's way too thick because it's like kind of where the naked eye doesn't see it. So we take it down, and we're also going to kind of drag the opacity a little bit down so you can barely notice that thing in the background. Okay. Push OK, then zoom out. So now we got the name. Dope thing about Photoshop is that whatever I apply here, because they applied the same effect to this yellow writing over here, whatever I apply here, I can apply there in terms of the layer style. So all that stuff we just did, we don't have to repeat it. We can just basically go over here, go to copy layer style, and then just paste it to the other one. So let's do the other section now. So the next section is privacy. So I have a font that I always use that I'm going to use for this one. It's not the exact one, but it'll kind of give you the idea. Now this one is obviously a bit bigger, so we're going to go ahead and resize that. Keep resizing. That might even be too big. So boom, we got that. Everything's parallel. You can see it's just giving us that line to show us that. Now the next thing we got to do, we got to add this cursive font, this pink cursive font. As much as it pains me to use a pink, I want you to see what it looks like. There's a reason why they use those colors. They pop as soon as you see them, especially if you're out there trying to buy a physical CD in 2018, or if you're out there trying to look for her album on Apple Music, it just pops when it's in that small thumbnail. So it's important that they use the correct colors. We're going to go back to this Curtis King logo or Curtis King layer, copy it, and then go to the privacy one and then paste it. Oh, paste layer style. Boom. Once we got that, let's go ahead and try to find a cursive that is very similar to that. This is invasion of. We're gonna make that smaller just so we can preview it. We'll change it once we get that. But let's zoom in here. Man, that man looks tired. Zoom in here. First of all, we're gonna sample this color, which is the pink. Okay, and then we're going to start to look for any kind of cursive that may fit that. That's pretty damn close, honestly. Was not expecting that. I thought I was about to go searching for a little while or whatnot. Either way, we take that with the move tool and we just drag it up. Now, obviously, it doesn't cover up too much of these holes that let you understand that this is a P, because if I were to do this, it's kind of hard to make out exactly if that's a P or an upside down D, whatever. So it's important that you make that centered within this. Also, too, as you see, this of is a lot smaller. So let me go ahead and make that smaller. We're going to zoom in and see what other interesting colors are in the background of this. So it's not a very dominant color, but they do have a background or a stroke color that makes this pop even more. It's those subtle things that they put behind text that makes this stuff pop so crazy. So once you get that, what you also want to do is click on stroke. Make sure that it's on the outside, which it is. And then you're going to click here on the color. We're going to take this darker tone of pink that they used. Okay. Or actually kind of like an orange almost. But once you do that, you press. You can see if you can make it a little bit. No, you don't want to do that. Let's just make it here. Looks decent. Press OK. Then pull it back out. Let's go ahead and zoom this one back out too. So as you can see, it's looking really similar. I would say if anything, we probably need to drag this invasion of down a little bit more. Obviously, my name is a little bit smaller than hers because it's less letters. Yeah, I mean, let's check it out. Even let's see if I just did it for a second. Okay, so that's the bare basics of it. The next thing we want to do, we want to add that layer. Now, once again, like I told you, if you go to this website called mextures.com/grit grain free pack, you just go to mextures.com. You get this free downloadable layer that you can add over the top of the picture to kind of give it a gritty, interesting effect. They have a phone app for this that I use all the time whenever I want to make like a really artistic photo. But go to this website, I'll leave it in the description below. Go to this website, download these high resolution photos, and once you download those, let me show you how you're going to utilize those. When you download it, you're going to get all these different previews of these effects. Okay, it looks crazy now, but just trust me on this. We're gonna look for one that we're gonna actually have as our layer. I think I'm gonna use that one. Which one is that one? That is cataract. So once you find the one you want to use, go ahead and drag it right over the front of this. Double click on it and then drag it behind all these other layers until you're right in front of the main photo. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to take the opacity down so that we can see more of the picture in the background and like very subtly see this effect. Watch what happens when we do that. Go to the opacity and just start dragging it down. All of a sudden, this picture has a whole nother set of characters, a whole nother layer to it that didn't even exist before because we put that on there. Now this looks like a serial killer as opposed to me just looking creepy on this photo. But because of that effect, see what that does? So once again, it's all the way zoomed out. Zoom it here. Something else I like to do to kind of add another interesting effect is that if I want the picture to fade lighter, I'll put a white background behind it. Now this comes with a default white background. So look what happens if I take the opacity down of the photo. It has sort of this fade effect. That looks pretty dope. But if I duplicate that, double click on the color and change it to, let's say, black, has the opposite effect. Even this looks more dramatic than before. This is bothering me. Now looking at it, there's some things I would probably change around. Like I would make this text bigger if it was my album cover. Also too, I would change the positioning of invasion of and privacy. And boom. I mean, there you have it. Now looking at this, the one thing that does stand out is just this text, but I mean, that's an easy fix. I probably would just end up matching it with the original text of the privacy. I like this a lot more. Stylistically, it's a bit different, but it gets the point across. You got your album cover done. You did it in less than 20 minutes. So that was my breakdown of how to make an album cover similar to the Cardi B Invasion of Privacy. Now, you can go many different directions with this. This just so happens to be my process if somebody asks me to duplicate this cover for them. As you can see, here it is right there. I got links in the description. Once again, this is Curtis King, CurtisKingBeats.com. Peace. Please subscribe to the channel below, Curtis King, CurtisKingBeats.com.